Alright, so in this video I'm going to show how to create a corridor in both Business Center Heavy Civil Edition and AutoCAD Civil 3D. I'm going to show the differences between the two. I'll be bouncing back and forth. I'm going to try to keep it as similar as possible. I know there's multiple ways that you can do things in both software applications, but want to kind of keep it almost, try to compare apples to apples, even though you really can't, because some of the workflows are different and some of the commands are different, but at the end we'll achieve the same thing, which is a corridor model of a simple road. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start in Business Center, and we're going to create the surface that we need or we want to use. To do that, I have a set of points. I have this survey points CSV file, and I'm going to simply just drag and drop it into Business Center. Oh, I will start out that I did start the project using the stock template in Business Center, and in AutoCAD Civil 3D I used the stock drawing template, US survey feet. Okay, so here I'm just going to bring in the points, their point number, northern, eastern elevation, drag and drop, import, choose the style. I'll go ahead and say OK to that information, and here's all my survey points that are now in the drawing. I'm not going to worry about break lines in the surface, even though I normally would. I would process this. We'll use that, save that for another video. Alright, so I've got this the points in there. So that was just importing the process. Let's go over to Civil 3D and we'll do the same thing here. So to do this, I can either go to points, right click on points, create, or I could go to the insert. Same way to get to the command. There's an insert option. I can pick that. I'm going to go out and I'm going to grab the survey points. This is the same data set. I got to tell it that it's a northern and eastern, just like in Business Center, northern eastern elevation description, and we'll click OK. We have to do a zoom extents so that we can see the points. So now you can see the same points. Displayed a little bit differently, but same data that's there. So we can close this command. We'll stay in Civil 3D and we'll go ahead and build the surface. To build the surface, we have to add these points into the surface. So the first thing we have to do is create a point group. So I'm going to come in here and we will create a new point group, and I'm going to call it DTM. The style information doesn't really matter. I can set this to none in here because I'm just using it for the group, so I'm not applying any style. And then I'm going to include. Now I can include all and then exclude, or I mean there's multiple ways of doing this. I'm going to again try to do what's best practice, and I'll do a selection set in the drawing. And this is something in Civil 3D that's kind of nice. I could probably drag around that one and up and then down through here. So I'm kind of creating this window selection set. That really don't matter if I do that or not. And I'm going to do that. So I'm just putting these in. I can shift select and remove that point there. So I'm putting those points into a group. Right click, click OK. It did it by number range. You can see it's still left, the other points, they're not in that group. I can remove those. There's a couple ways. I'm going to create another new group and we'll call it no display. And this is what I would, traditionally what's taught by most consultants is go ahead and do this no display group. It turns them off. And if I want to turn them back on, I have to come in here and go to properties, and I have to reorder the group. So if I put all points at the top and click OK, it displays the points. If I come over here, go to properties, put no display at the top, it turns them off. Now there is also other ways you can do it with layers. So we haven't even created the surface yet, we just did the group. So now I'm going to go up here, I'm going to create the surface. We'll go ahead and use a triangles and contours style, and we'll click OK and give it a name. I'll call it EG, and we'll click OK. And now I got to go in, I got to add those points to that group. So I come down here, it's a point group. I'm going to add those. We're going to pick the DTM group. So now there's my surface in Civil 3D. While we're here, we'll go ahead and create a second viewport, and we'll set this to a isometric view. Alright, so now I've got two views here. Now let's go over to Business Center and do the same thing. So coming over here, I've got my points. I can do a Windows select, but I can also do there's multiple ways of doing a selection set. I'm just going to do what I think is probably the easiest way. So instead of doing a group, I'm just going to go ahead and create the surface, and we'll call it EG. We'll classify it as my original ground. That's helpful later. And then we can select members from the surface. And there's different ways to select. I can select all, select by layer, select points, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to go ahead and just do a window to select just a selection set of points. I'm going to use my control key or shift key and control key and deselect these points. Right, so I'm just deselecting the points that I don't want in my surface, and I'm going to click OK, and it's going to build my surface. It already sets the triangles on there. Now I don't have contours, but that's just coming up here and saying, we'll just do quick contours, set my 2-foot interval, and we'll go 5, and we'll set this on a layer, contours, and we'll set those to a color. So again, I'm not, I could set a lot of this stuff up, predefine this stuff, but I wanted to kind of start from scratch. So we'll create another view here, and we'll split these side by side, and then over here it's just simply coming around and moving this up. Now to turn the points off so we can make everything the same, I'm just going to come back to my view filter manager. We're going to go down to our point display here. I could turn off that layer, simple as that, or I can just tell it not to show the disconnected points. So notice it's already displayed with the triangles in the 3D view. If I was to come over to Civil 3D, I have to modify the style. So it's just a matter of coming into the style of this, and in the model view I could turn off the triangles, turn on the elevations. I have to come in here, set how I want it to display and what style, and let's say we go 10, and we want to see 3D faces, and apply, and OK, and now we can get it looking somewhat similar to what you're seeing in Business Center. A little bit different probably because of the range and the color that's set there. Alright, now I'm going to turn off the surface. So to turn off the surface here, I have to go to the surface properties and change the style. I'll just put border only. Oh, actually I can't, because I want to see the contours. So I have to go back, let's go back to surface properties, and we have to see contours 2 and 10 background. We'll set that there. Now it didn't change it in 3D view, so I have to modify that surface style so that I'm seeing in model view just the triangles or just the contours. So turn the triangles off. Right, so I have to click over here to actually zoom in. Alright, so there's that, and then over here I can simply just turn off the surface.